Welcome! Finally, after all that time, I've finally gotten up to the point where I feel like if I assign something to the students that's a CER paragraph, I'm actually going to get something back that I would like to read. Not that will make me want to go cry. And so I want to try to, give you the sense that this is not something I would do first day or second day or maybe even in the first quarter, something that I would take a lot of time with and then go ahead and assign maybe in the third quarter or the fourth quarter after they've had a lot of time to ramp up for it to get a sense for what sort of writing I'm looking for. Now, keep in mind that that science writing is different, and it's supposed to be concise, and it really doesn't have these transitions. So I'm kind of playing a little fast and loose with the typical conventions of science writing by including these kinds of sentence starters and other sorts of prompts here. But it's what students are most used to. And so I think I've tried to form or strike a balance between having some sentence starter type comments or ideas or props or whatever you want to call them, and having a very concise matter-of-fact style. So anyway, that's where it is. Guess what? This is a spreadsheet. I know you were not expecting it. It was totally out of left field that it would be a spreadsheet, but there it is. So I apologize to those of you who were shocked by that. There we go. I call it the argument paragraph puzzle because it's not really, I guess it's not really a puzzle, but it is to the extent that you are trying to put together these pieces in a particular order. And so that's where we're at right there. I do up here also remind the students to make sure that science writing is specific, clear, precise, active, and as brief as possible without losing any information in the process. Those are all critical for good science writing and things that are difficult for students to do on their own without some practice first. And that's why I kind of give them that extra practice there. There we go. So here's how this works. I have basically the framework for a paragraph. It should go roughly like this: a claim, reason, evidence, evidence, reason 2, evidence, evidence, counterclaim, refutation, and conclusion, if you need a conclusion in there, which is debatable, I suppose. But since this is the only thing that I'd be asking from them in this particular kind of assignment, I would ask that there is some sort of a conclusion statement. Typically, conclusion statements are pretty crappy, if I'm honest. They're like, this is what I said, or so that's why it's true, which is just a waste of space and a waste of time on my part. So I'm kind of go back and forth about whether or not there should be some sort of a conclusion statement. But I feel weird about leaving it after the refutation, so I feel like there should be some sort of something there. Anyway, let's look at how this works here. So the first sentence should be their claim, and so they have this prompt here that it should be a claim, and then they have a place where they can type. Now in here I have put in a number of different possible options for ways to start. So if they're struggling with that, which oftentimes is the toughest part of the claim, is to try to figure out how you want to just jump right in. So I've put some options in there, and these are by no means perfect, but they're options that are, I don't know, they're interesting and they're valid, and they could be used without too much problem. So I go ahead and click one. Let's say data from the study suggests that. So I go ahead and click that. Now, notice what happens over here. I have this cell right here, this huge cell right here, set up to be another one of those concatenation types, where I'm going to go ahead and move the window again here, so bear with me. Don't get nauseous. It's okay. It's all right. It'll be over soon. There we go. Okay. So you can see right here, I have another formula that's concatenate, which is one of my favorites from spreadsheets when dealing with strings, because it'll take the value of the string and then put it into a cell someplace else, and then add other values of strings to it. So what you'll see here is that C6, which is where I just selected this, it takes the value from that and then puts it in with all these other things. Now, you'll see there's a comma, and then there's quotation marks around a space, and then end quotation marks, and then another comma. The reason for that is that the strings that they pull out of these cells need to have spaces in between them for them to make sense. So I went ahead and put those spaces in there by hand, just so the draft paragraph doesn't have weird non-spacing sections that will try to make things more confusing for the students. So I'm just going to go ahead and type some stuff in here just so you can kind of see this. That let's see, X and Y are directly related under ideal conditions. Okay, so now I went ahead and typed that in there. I hit enter, and you can see that it was added right over here in my draft paragraph. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and click the next for the first reason. So I'll go ahead and choose one of these options. So one reason for this is, I'm going to go ahead and click that, and you can see that's in there already. And then I could type in whatever I want to do. You get the idea. And then come down here and go ahead and pick the evidence. So I have a possible prompts to start off with the evidence here. So let's say physical law suggests that. There we go. And then I can go ahead and type in more, and so on. So you can see how this works. I'm going to put a period in here just so you can, so it's easier to see where the extra stuff is there. So at the end then, what you're going to find, I'm going to move the window again. Don't freak out. It's okay. It's all right. There we go. Okay. So at the end here, we'll have a draft paragraph with all of these things that people typed in there, that the students typed in there. And then you'll have this draft paragraph that sounds okay, but a little gibberishy. So they're going to have to try to take that draft paragraph and make it into some sort of final polished thing. But once they have this draft paragraph, it's really just, I mean, it's so fast to polish it up and make it sound a little bit better as a final paragraph. It really is quite easy. Now, I would use this with, and I haven't yet actually this year because I haven't felt like we're at that stage yet, but I would use this with something that looks like this. Oops. There we go. And so this is actually the unit I'm in right now, Momentum, and I would give them this prompt. And its prompt is basically about the fact that their son is starting to play football, and they're worried about which helmet to buy for their son. And being engineering and physically minded, they are looking at downloading the data, which is freely available actually from University of Virginia, I think, or North Carolina, one of those two. Anyway, you can go ahead and look at the different force versus time graphs for different helmets, and from those you can make some pretty interesting, or draw some pretty interesting conclusions as a result. And so the question that I have the students usually at this point in the year is, can you use this data table and this graph and this data table right there to be able to decide which helmet you want to buy your son so that he can start playing football safely? And really, this is interesting because it's a kind of the claim that they have to make is something that's a little more personal, and it's not as scientific or as, I don't know, as cut and dried as it might seem at first. So you can see this part of it actually is pretty cut and dried, but then when you get down here, where you're talking about the cost and the lifespan and the comfort level, or maybe the maximum forces that are applied, all those things, those are things that you really, I don't know, you really have to try to think your way through. And putting them all together is really quite quite challenging to try to come up with a decent claim as to which one's the best and then why you think so. As I've started to do more with building up to this particular prompt, I've noticed that students have done a better job of giving me answers that are intelligible and really, I don't know, quite professional in their level. And so I've really been happy with that, seeing that has improved quite a bit. Anyway, so that's where things are at with that. You have access to this if you want, so you can go ahead and check that out. Also, just as a side note, I know I didn't say it before, but if you scroll over to the right, you can see where I put all of the possible options, and so you can modify those as needed. You could add in more if you wanted to, whatever works for you. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching, and thanks for coming today. I know nobody came. I'm sitting in here by myself, probably eating my 15th Jolly Rancher, crying a single tear. But that's okay. That's a typical Friday night, so that's okay. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good day.